Hello, all of you. We are inviting Dheenah Dastageer. She has secured rank 63 this time. You have seen some of the videos that we have posted about how she prepared on the YouTube channel. But this conversation is going to be more in-depth. We'll ask her about geography optional in particular. How did she manage geography subject through the mains? And linked to geography, how was she managing the time constraints that she had in the preparation? And I must first congratulate Dheenah. Dheenah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Very happy to see you. I have interacted with you before also.
Yes.
And you did have a lot of nervousness to start with, but in time you got over all of that.
Indeed, sir.
You know the kind of marks you have scored. Dheenah has scored 283 in geography optional, which is among the highest scores. And she has also scored 195 in her interview, which again is a very high score. And finally, she has landed a good rank, 63, and she is in the IAS proper. So welcome, Dheenah, and I must
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, sir. Pleasure and honor to talk to you as well.
So Dheenah, there's a lot you can talk about, how you prepared, how did you go about. First question first, about geography optional. Why did you choose geography optional? That's a question students ask me. How do they choose and why did they choose? Should you take up geography or not? So what was your thinking in choosing geography optional, Dheenah?
So to be pretty honest, I really did not have any dilemma which optional I would choose. I was quite sure that I would choose geography because geography was one subject which I liked since school. I used to, I used to be a very, very, very obedient and a very good girl in a geography class. Listen to my geography classes. I fondly remember my teachers who taught me. And then, another thing is that I am a person who likes to observe nature, know the phenomena around nature, nature lover in specific. So that was also a reason. So I really did not have a dilemma whether I would take up any other subject. Geography was indeed a natural choice.
Which means your choice of geography was partly because of an interest in the subject.
Yes, sir, mainly.
And do you think that made a difference rather than going by the trends, going by what others are choosing? Do you think the interest factor actually may have helped you in the preparation?
So I never regretted choosing geography. Geography, it was sort of a, I would say I read geography every day for 4 to 5 hours daily. And it was sort of, always interests me in reading new concepts about geography, especially the part of geographical thought. I always felt like I was reading a storybook, learning new things. These are areas of geography. Because when I must confess that initially when I started with geography, I thought geography is all about mountains and rivers and climate. And then I was quite fascinated to know that geography had such aspects as well. Okay. So, and eventually that turned out to be my most favorite part as well than the physical geography part. So geography has always been, one stress buster, if I can say. I don't know, I might probably be busting the conventional idea that geography causes stress and UPSC is butchered subject. These are some of the myths which UPSC aspirant circles have. But for me, I always loved studying.
And if I'm right, you also have a science background?
Yes, sir. I'm basically an engineer.
Engineering? Yes.
Yes, sir. In electronics and communication.
Does geography become a natural choice for engineers and science students? Do you think that's a convenient one to take up if they have science background?
So I have friends who have who do not have an engineering background. They have also taken up geography. So per se, but I think if someone has taken up engineering, probably, the past syllabus probably may not scare them. But other than that, I think anyone without any technical background can also take up geography.
The wisdom that I can take from this conversation is that having interest in the subject is a very, very important criteria.
Indeed, sir. Indeed, sir. And for me, for a person like me who has been in this process for 4 years, it is actually the interest which will eventually will keep us going.
Okay. Now, to be very honest in this conversation, we must acknowledge the fact that geography definitely has some amount of additional burden to be covered, areas to be covered. It takes 10-15% more time to prepare. So was that not a reason to deter you? How did you manage the additional responsibility in geography preparation? How did you manage that?
So I felt that any subject which anyone has to take, because since mostly students, when they take an optional subject, it is not mostly their graduation topic. So
Yeah.
anyways, they have to be putting in efforts, and I just thought it as that when I'm studying a new subject, and geography is indeed a vast subject, these are parts of part of that preparation process. So I took it in that spirit and learned it as it came. And as I said, every new topic and every new aspect of geography really created that fascination in me. Wow, this is such an aspect in geography. To be honest, geographical thought, every time I read, created a fascination in me. So I just took that in that positive spirit and that learning spirit. So not really.
So you managed it. I think that you are right, Dheenah. What students miss out in the preparation is the attitude toward the subject. What the
Exactly.
students miss out is the conversation that they should have with themselves when they take a subject.
Exactly.
I have always believed that every subject is capable of giving you marks. Every
Indeed, sir.
subject has its own nuances, has its
Exactly.
own way of studying, has its
Exactly.
own areas which it specializes in. So if you have the interest, and I'm sure Dheenah probably is seconding that idea. Okay.
Yes, sir, indeed. So if I can just share my, if I'm sorry to interrupt, just to
Please,
share
please.
my personal experience, I have written the geography optional twice, and I also come across this, myth and the rumors that go around that UPSC does not like geography and they indeed butcher the subject. And to be honest, these are discussions which happen in the aspirants' Telegram groups and WhatsApp groups as well. But never have I faced, probably if I'm lucky or I had interest in the subject, both the times when I wrote the job exam with the geography optional, my marks were pretty good. Even last time when I didn't make it, the toppers were scoring around 265, 270, and for me 250 was quite. I was not butchered, if I can use the word. So I think that's a myth. If we really, every subject has its own, as you said, both the sides. So we just take it that way. The problem is students have this preconceived notion in their head that geography is something going to be butchered, and that preconceived notion is probably causing that hurdle, if I can say so, because I've been in this, so I understand that way.
If I can add some wisdom of my own on this, and talking to all the students, what happens, I think, is the number of students that sit for the examination and the quality of preparation that they put in, that varies a lot.
Indeed.
What we find is people who qualify with a subject, they do get the marks that's required. The higher marks in which students qualify, that's fairly comparable. I'm not saying exactly comparable.
Indeed.
There are subjects that score 320, 340. There are subjects who are stuck in the range of 290. But more or less, people who qualify do get a comparable range. And people who don't qualify, I think they are in the much, much lower spectrum.
Indeed, sir.
I have students who don't score even more than 150, 190. And there are students who score 290, 310 also. The wisdom that we take from this conversation is that you are not supposed to get bogged down by the general trends. In any case, out of the 6-7 lakhs who actually take the examination, those who qualify are 1,000 students. Those who get IAS from the general category are the first 70, 80, 100, 150 students. So if you talk in terms of the larger numbers, maybe the data will look skewed. But I'm happy, Dheenah, it has supported you all this while.
Indeed, sir. Because I've had the rumor been true, then my marks would have also fluctuated. But as you said, the trends remain the same. So probably the efforts put in the right direction and not heeding to such rumors will eventually help us bear fruit.
So what's important is how you prepare, what kind of coverage you have, what type of content command you have developed, what kind of practice you have gone through. Okay, that probably is more important than all the other things that distract people.
Because those are things which we don't have control in. If UPSC is indeed, I think we should not be bothered with something which we do not have control in. We can probably put that efforts to prepare the subject well and score more marks. I think that's the smarter way.
Okay. So Dheenah, if you can tell us quickly, what are the books that you followed, and if you want to recommend some specific books for certain sections of geography. People have this mindset that all of the preparation should be done by convenient notes from the institutes and from the teachers. I have been struggling to recommend books. Maybe you can tell us what the right strategy can be.
Yes, sir. I think I'll first tell a chronology in which I used to study the topic.
Yes.
And then, sir, I will tell you the textbooks which I followed. I think that would feel more connected with my fellow aspirants as well. Okay, so the first step I used to do, if I can just segregate, the first step I used to do is basics building my basics. And what I used to do is, it is here that I used to read the class notes. The first thing I did, one of the wisest option I did was to get hold of Sir's class notes. I was not part of his classes, the normal classes, so I got hold of those 4-5 booklets. I had it with me, so I read those class notes, and I also read the standard books associated with those topics. So this was the first thing I did to create those basics, and as a result of which I got an idea what the topic was about. And so the next thing that I used to do is to prepare holistic notes on this. I knew that the fact that my notes are not going to have everything associated with the topic. I was quite aware about this fact, but I made notes on those topics, and with an idea that I will be adding more eventually when I learn the topic. So this was the first step I did. And the second step I did was your enrichment classes. Your enrichment classes, the topics which were taught to us were those topics which we would probably not learn or probably not focus upon properly. So those enrichment classes and the model answers, when you teach those classes, you used to tell us model answers when you teach as well, and the model answers which were later given to us. So this probably gave that concepts which I learned an exam touch, in the way in which it can be implemented in an exam. And thirdly, what I did was to read those jottings and page numbers which you asked us to do. I made it a point that I read those jottings and even made small notes in my own set of notes. So ultimately what I had was one set of notes which is my personal notes, and then the enrichment notes which you taught us, and the model answers also. And I planned my day plan my preparation in such a way that I could revise all three of them at least thrice, and that's what I did this time.
Wow.
Between the prelims and mains, I could revise all three of this, and I could do it, sir. With proper planning, I could do this. My notes, the enrichment notes, and the model answers, I could revise it thrice. Okay. So this is my modus operandi or my chronology which I follow to study any topic. I had my own set of notes.
So if I just repeat it for sake of reinforcing it, yes. Number one, what you have done is you have taken all the foundation class notes.
Yes, sir.
That is taught in the class.
Yes, sir.
You did not simply read it.
No, sir.
It was you made that your base.
Yes, sir.
Then based on that, you made your own notes first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the class notes have...
And also the textbooks. Also the textbooks.
I took up the... Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the textbooks and the class notes, you have combined them together and you made your own notes first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And how does this help you? How does it help you? It helps you consolidate better? It helps
yes, sir.
What does it do?
Sir. So this is actually based on my understanding of the concept. So this has helped me in many ways. First is to understand the topic. And second is it probably naturally gave me that idea as to how to implement that in the exam. And also, so one major key to this exam is to revise our content properly. So when we have our own set of notes, and those are content in which we can constantly revise. And since we are writing it in our own handwriting, I think there is something which clicks our brain. So right. These are the three predominant advantages which I found with the first stage.
So that was first stage. Yes. The next stage was that you have to do additional content, which we call as enrichment.
Yes, sir.
So will you also suggest that students should not be focusing on the foundation notes alone?
Yes, sir.
Because that's what we also promote.
Yes, sir.
The foundation notes that you have of 4, 5, 6 months of classes, they help you develop a very important baseline for yourself.
Exactly.
You know tectonics, you understand isostasy, you understand the climatic classification, you understand what is biogeographical realms, you understand what is ecosystem, what are the thought, but don't stop there. Once the baseline is set, so what Dheenah did was, she started developing the enriched content, updation content. And for that, you say the class notes help you, and I'm sure you added on your own also.
Yeah.
I'm a big stickler for this fact that you should not be dependent on notes given to you. You should also apply yourself and enrich
Indeed,
wherever you can. Yes,
indeed,
you
sir.
did that?
Indeed, sir. Indeed, sir. Because that's where the current affairs preparation, which I'll eventually come to, also helped.
And the third thing that you did was that you have seen all the model answers that we shared with you.
Yes, sir. And also the jottings and page numbers which you suggested, sir.
Okay, yes. When we teach, we do mention the subject textbooks with the page numbers. Good.
Yes, sir.
So the foundation you have consolidated, you make your own notes on that,
yes, sir.
You enrich the content, and then you have your model answers also to give an idea how the content is used.
Yes,
how the content is written. Now see, one problem that we face, students sometimes get very disheartened when they look at the model answer. So I keep telling them the model answer is in ideal conditions. It is like the best possible answer you could write. But did that discourage you, or did you find it's a very nice way of learning how things can be improved? What was your reaction when you saw those model answers?
So as I said, the model answers were coming in the third stage. So I already had my foundation and my enrichment level done. So when I saw those model answers, I was quite getting that sense of satisfaction, because I could ultimately see how those things which I studied could actually be implemented in the paper. So this gave me that sense, and said I must really add this, because hitherto whatever I have seen, any institute more keys that we get, these are usually printed keys, and the problem is this is not something which we are ultimately going to implement. But the model answers which were given from the side of Edukemy were actually written in by candidates or by aspirants like us, and that gives us that sense of belonging. Okay, that's the way he or she might write. So this feels more more exam oriented and more aspirant like, and hence also breaks that monotony of reading or highlighting from a printed key.
Okay, fine. Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
So Dheenah, now the tricky question for you is, how much time does it take? You have identified 3 stages. And yes, you have been preparing for almost 3 years now.
Yes, sir.
How much time do you think is an appropriate time to spend for the foundation? How much time should we have for enrichment? How much time for model answer based studying? Because we have to set the expectations of students right in terms of their exam readiness. So if you know these techniques, what's the timeline you're working on approximately in terms of months maybe?
So in this case, I feel that this 3 levels, I would say, is not really segregated, like hardcore segregated. There are some times where, from in some topics, I might take more time for, building my basics. In some cases, I can learn those topics easily. That's one way. Sometimes I might take more time to prepare notes. So that varies. I cannot, not a particular time. And sir, I would also not suggest such timelines to students as well, because I personally believe in the fact that every aspirant is, has his or her own strengths and weaknesses, and everyone is unique in their own way. So I would not per se say that, but sir, with my personal experience, I think those enrichment classes I joined last time in the month of June, and that was perhaps 4 months before my prelims. So we had called for had taken a temporary break around in August. So 3 months of classes then, and then we had 2 months of 2 months. I think October and November we also had classes. So I think that would be sufficient, because we have already built the base, and since enrichment is just a value addition which is happening on top of a solid base, this plus model answers, I think 3 months would be 3 to 4 months. The ample time which is being offered for enrichment classes would be sufficient for enrichment. And a foundation, I think 5 to 6 months for a good foundation. And sir, I would like to add one more thing. I'm also working as a faculty here in one institute in Thiruvananthapuram. So what I understand is, what I understand from my learning as a faculty is that students are quite not impatient to prepare notes. I think they are all behind. I'm sure many of my batchmates are now sharing their notes. And here I believe that their intention of my batchmates is to give an idea as to how they prepare notes. But I think many of the aspirants who are going to write are already in this spree of taking the photostats of those notes. Not really. That's not the idea. What they should be doing is to understand how those notes are made, and they should patiently sit and make their own notes. And I acknowledge the fact that it is indeed a time-consuming process. And I say that it is a time-consuming process. It is going to take time. But sir, once we patiently make those notes, it, the process ahead, in our main stage and in our personality test, it really helps us, and we are so, we feel so that sense of belonging with our notes, that one sight or one brush through our notes will actually make wonders in our head.
If I identify a common denominator for all those who qualify, can I safely assume all those who qualify and have done well would definitely have spent time making their notes, reading the
Yes,
books
sir.
diligently? Okay,
Yes,
they
sir.
must have been frustrated with the writing process, yet they persist with it. Can I safely assume that, Dheenah?
Yes, sir, indeed. I'll just show you something.
Yes, please.
This is actually my set of regional geography, regional planning notes.
Wow.
And I must say that it took me around 15 to 20 days to just write this down.
This is just regional planning, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Both the paper 1 and paper 2.
Can you please open some pages and show what is it inside that, and hold it on the screen for some time?
So, this is the first page, which is like had this concept of region and all. I'll share this snaps with you.
Scan and share it with me.
Yes, sir, definitely. And this had those Body-Willy and Perrot's theories and all that. If you can see that core periphery model and all that. This is those hill area development, desert area development. So what I wish to say is that this is like entire regional planning notes. And I just had to read this to prepare my paper 1 and paper 2.
Wow.
I have confidence in this.
And how much, it's looking like approximately maybe what, 100, 150 pages, or maybe more than that?
Sir, around 100, 150 pages,
150 words and pages. How much time you have taken to prepare these notes?
So just to write this physically, it took me around 15, 20 days. But the planning before, the actual planning to write the regional planning took more time.
Okay. But you have done this for almost all the units, more or less?
Yes, I have. I'll show you. This is for my population geography.
Wow.
And I have brought.
This is over and above. This is over and above the class notes that
you
had studied,
yes,
correct?
This is my personal set of notes.
Excellent, excellent.
So this is irrigation and agriculture.
Dheenah, there is an inclination in me to go to your place and take your notes to see what all I can add in my classes also.
I have, this is my, actually just one of the parts of geographical thought. I have like this 2 or 3.
Wow.
Yeah, so these are some of the
paradigm also you have written.
Yes.
Excellent. And these are topics जो syllabus में नहीं है.
Yeah, exactly.
And I insist, I remember we have discussed this also in one of those classes. So you have to have that sense of what to cover, what not to cover, but eventually you must write down everything in your own handwriting and not depend on some procured notes alone, correct?
And sir, I also have my standard books on my table. So this is also there.
So you will recommend, so if I ask you, you will recommend students that they should read standard books?
Yes,
because
sir.
This is a common thing where I am getting unpopular. Okay, where students claim that, sir, give us notes and your notes should be enough. And I keep telling them, notes cannot be enough. Exactly. You have to read books. So Dheenah, do talk about that. Why are notes not enough, and why actually I am speaking against my interest? If I start claiming notes are enough, it will be nice for me and my classes. But I'm against that. So Dheenah, to speak about this textbook importance, please.
Sir, I will tell you. See if I can show you. I can give you with proof. I know my speech is going a bit unconventional, but I just want to help aspirants.
Please do.
See,
please.
if you can see, these are the jottings and colorings which I did in a standard book.
Wow.
So this is, this actually gave me that idea, created the interest in me for the subject, if I can say. And geographical thought is my most favorite topic in geography.
Excellent.
So, sir, I think apart from the perspective of marks, as I said, to create that interest in topic, books are written by prominent people. So, that language is quite beautiful. So, standard books creates that interest, and it's written in a very lucid way, so we can understand it. This plus the notes will create wonders. And this is what I want to tell my fellow aspirants. If you read this and then your notes, the concepts will be clear in your head, and you can implement it quite easily in the exam.
you are suggesting is to be done for two reasons. One is it helps you develop the conceptual clarity.
Exactly.
Second, very important is when you're involved in the books, your interest also starts.
Exactly. So for me, the interest factor was actually predominant. I was quite interested to know what what the author is trying to say. And then when I read, because definitely because notes have their limitations, because these are after notes. That's why they are called notes. You know, there are some jottings which are made, but this has a logical flow of explaining a concept.
Okay.
So this makes it more interesting.
Okay. So quickly, if you can, if I can tell me what were the books you followed. Okay. So number
Yes,
one, what is the basic book you followed? NCERTs, did you read something from there?
Not really, not much, because as I said, I pretty remembered the things which I learned in school. So geography.
Okay. Your school is strong, but somebody who does not have a strong school background,
Sir,
you will recommend NCERTs?
Definitely, sir, because I would say I will tell aspirants, because this is also my humble understanding as a faculty. Don't see NCERT as a burden. Understand it as a transition towards such standard books.
Okay.
You know, sir, as we said, aspirants come from diverse backgrounds. So this NCERTs are school level books. So they will actually create that bridge towards such standard level books, and also create that interest and conceptual clarity. So this is the first level books which a normal aspirant can do.
In fact, Dheenah, I have been insisting on this. And that's where in Edukemy also we started a kind of a bridge program. Before students jump into the preparation and they start off taking the proper foundation course, they must spend 1 month or 2 months maybe cover up the NCERTs in a proper way.
Exactly.
Or maybe have some ways, ground yourself in the NCERT school books, and then move on. Your preparation will be far more.
Exactly. It's basically to ensure that smooth transition, as we have the flight on the runway and then the takeoff. It's basically the transition.
So NCERTs are the runway. You taxi, runway.
Exactly.
Excellent. That's a good analogy. What did you follow for geomorphology?
So geomorphology, GC Leong has many good diagrams. So I made it a point.
Okay.
Yes, and the biomes part also, it's explained very well.
Excellent.
And then, but that comes in the climatology part. Then geomorphology, so basically, Savinder Singh, you had mentioned about some jottings. Okay. It was not really possible to read the whole book, but the jottings, and I had already read some portion of the physical geography book as well.
Selective reading. I recommend all the 4 books: geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, environment, geography. The 4 books of Savinder Singh. Selective reading, but the books are must.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I say that safely, assert from your side?
Sir, to be honest, I did not read the climatology and oceanography part exhaustively. I mean, much as I read the geomorphology part. But sir, as you said, it would have been probably better had I read that portion as well.
Okay. And what did you follow for Indian geography?
So Indian geography mainly was Khullar. And that was one part which I did for Indian geography. That was sufficient, and because most
it could be Majid Hussain, though yes, I personally prefer Khullar because it's updated very well, and somehow I'm used to that style. Otherwise, any one of the books will do, right?
Yeah, exactly, sir. Because Indian geography is mostly the paper one application into Indian perspective. So that is there, and also the current affairs will help in the paper.
And I generally believe that one book covers the entire paper to almost 70% is covered. Agriculture is there, population is there, settlement is covered very well, environment issues are covered. Okay, fine. So, and what was your text? Did you follow the human geography textbook of Majid Hussain?
Yes, sir. I had initially.
Okay. So, for geographical thought, what did you follow then?
So, as I said,
Majid Hussain geographical thought. What
yes, sir. Sir, as I said, geographical thought was one area which was like very interesting to me. So I don't know, but I read 3 books.
Wow.
So I read the Majid Hussain Evolution of Geographical Thought, and sir, also the page you suggested in R.D. Dixit and Adhikari, Sudipta Adhikari.
Dixit and Adhikari.
Yes, sir.
That's the stand recommendation. Though, yes, sir. So I recommend Majid Hussain to be read a bit later once the concepts are built. Okay, but if you're comfortable either ways, but R.D. Dixit is indispensable according to me.
Exactly. So the concept, new areas in which the new areas which is made mentioned there, very good book.
Okay. Any other book you think I'm missing out?
Sir, I read this book.
Yes.
I read this book, Models and Theories in Geography by K. Siddhartha. This book. This was one book. I read this book.
This was one book of modern theories even by Majid Hussain. So students can
Okay.
buy either of them.
Okay. This was something which I read for the models and theories part as well.
Okay. And Atlas, I believe you have 2, 3 for references. How did you do the Atlas part?
Atlas, sir?
Yes, yes.
Atlas, the normal standard, the Oxford one. That was it.
Okay.
And sir, as far as the environment geography and biogeography was basically mostly internet, because biogeography was mostly was from class notes, and environment geography I really use the internet extensively, and also
Now, it's a very interesting thing that Dheenah told me when we're conversing. I happened to ask her, how did she manage her current affairs based preparation? Okay, and she told me something I would like you to hear from her. Okay, but be wise to listen to what is her thinking behind what she is. Okay, don't do this blindly. But yes, Dheenah, I think you should tell us an interesting one. Yes, please.
Okay, so I probably won't sound like the usual topper stock where they say that they socially cut them totally from social media. I am not that person. Actually, if I can mention that in my personality test, we have the detailed application form, wherein we have to fill in our hobbies. And one of the hobbies which I filled in was browsing Twitter for news and perspectives. And I repeat the...
Okay.
Yes, for news and perspectives. And I repeat the word, for news and perspectives, and not for the distractions. So, sir, this was one area, because for me, I think current affairs preparation, I did not do anything exclusively per se, because using Twitter was my hobby since college days. So I was actually updated with the things that is happening around. The first thing I do when I get up in the morning is to take up Twitter and see what is happening, what happened the day.
Okay, so guys, this is very interesting. Okay. Yes, there is the thinking that we say we should cut off from the social media and the distractions. But what Dheenah did was very different. She has used the social media, Twitter, very, very smartly. And I think she said this, that she was doing this for environment and the perspectives in environment, and not for the sake of interaction or spreading her ideas or sharing her views or liking.
So, but what I would like to tell the aspirants is, sir, we usually recommend aspirants to check in the official websites of UNFCCC or UNCCD. Yes. But the thing is, now they have Twitter handles, and they share things in a very crisp and they give it to you rather than we searching for it. So this makes things easy.
This does not allow you to write too much. So what they do is they compress into some kind of a short summary, put a poster, and you have the access to all the important websites.
Exactly.
And you're studying from that.
And they also retweet relevant content. So if you're following UNCCD, they will share everything related to desertification. They will share everything related to land degradation. If there is a COP happening, there is so much of information that is coming to us rather than me going and searching.
So if I divide social media, one is your social media, whatever. One is WhatsApp. I think you stayed away from WhatsApp.
So I was there on WhatsApp also. But sir, I could control everything. I could manage.
Okay, so you were controlling Instagram. Were you on Instagram?
Sir, no, sir. No, I'm not. I'm very bad at clicking pictures.
What about Facebook? Were you around Facebook?
Not really. I was there, but I was not like, as I said, I was not into
Okay. So if I'm looking at, so WhatsApp was maybe for some personal interaction, maybe family and close friends, that's all.
And also for study purpose, because we share study materials.
Facebook is not the place to study, I think, for most of us.
So I just had 300 friends for a decade, and it's only after I got my rank list now there are more friend requests coming.
Okay, wonderful. So that's a very important learning, guys. I hope you all appreciate this point. Now, this is a very smart way of preparation. This is a very smart way of how you can keep abreast with the current affairs. But very important that you have to be disciplined. You have to be responsible in how you use this. And if I may add, Dheenah, I don't know if you have seen those or not. We have started this daily compilation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, I read few of them for my personality test preparation as well. Yes, sir.
So if you can say something about that, good or bad, whatever, I'm not going to tell you.
Yes, sir. Because as I said, I was following Twitter, then I was reading the newspaper, and this was like someone has put in efforts to make it concise and give those background information regarding a news issue. So especially a fresher will really benefit from that.
Okay. So I think your current affairs preparation can converge into one or two sources
Exactly.
which help you, give you some kind of a semi-processed material.
Exactly.
Rather than you reading 10 newspapers and making articles, okay,
Exactly.
you would recommend, Acha, by the way, once you have read this, do you also make notes of this current affairs? How do you incorporate that into your answers and your study? You make notes, you make some jottings on that?
Yes, sir. So I do things which comes naturally to me. If I feel that that has to be jotted down, that has to be written, I will write it down probably in a notebook or in, I save it in my phone.
My point is, okay, I always suggest, I'm asking you to validate that or maybe debate on that.
Okay.
A newspaper or news article should not be merely read or seen.
Exactly.
If you come across an important article, if you come across an important fact that you think is important, you must note it down in your notes.
Exactly.
You must take it down in your written handwriting form. Were you doing that, Dheenah?
Sir, to be honest, not always consistently, but those data and information and those perspectives which I felt is new to me, I did make it. I made a note of it.
So you were able to revise that before the examination if required, that ways.
Yes, sir, because I planned my day I planned my schedule so that I could revise. So firstly, one thing that I made sure is that I only read that much of content which I can revise. Wow. And second, I plan my day, I plan my schedule in a way so that I can include 2 or 3 revisions. And third most important things that I forgot to say that when I said about note making, so students do make notes. That's something I have observed as a faculty and as an aspirant. Students do make notes. The problem is they do not trust their notes. So what happens is that they have their notes. I am sure many candidates, they have their notes, many notes kept in, but it will be there all dusty because they are not reading it. And probably they will run behind some other topper's notes or some other compilations. So one wisest option which I did during my preparation is that I trusted these notes.
Okay.
I know this regional geography planning bundle probably may not have everything of regional planning, but I was quite confident that I can manage this, the regional planning questions with this, the enrichment notes and the class notes. So I think every student should firstly put in efforts. And the reason why I could trust my notes is because I put so much of efforts to make this. And I was sure if you put efforts, it won't go futile. So what I would say, my fellow aspirants, is that when you make notes, put in efforts, let it be time consuming, put in efforts. And once if you have put in efforts, trust your efforts and trust your notes.
I think I found a magic word in what you have said. The measure of whether your notes are good or not is whether you trust your notes or not.
Exactly.
Okay, and you can only trust when you have put in efforts, you have seen things, you have spent a night and day and sat down with it, sweated on it, and then sweating on it, then you probably start feeling for your notes. That's a very important word. You have to make your notes and trust your notes. Excellent.
So on a lighter note, I tell my mother that this is more precious to me than any, property papers.
I'm sure. In fact, I say this, Dheenah, that the measure of how much efforts you have put in your notes is that if I take your notes without your permission, what are you willing to do to me? If you're not going all out to kill me if I take your notes, which means your notes are not good enough.
Exactly. I would probably give you anything precious. If you ask me my bangle, I'll give you, but not my notes.
I get it. I absolutely get it.
So on a lighter note, but what I meant to say is these are, I have put so much of efforts to make this, and I have put so much of trust in this, and so it's indeed precious to me. That's why I happily took it up and brought it so that I can show this to everyone.
In fact, if I can show all of you some of the pages that Dheenah has shared, allow me to share my screen here. Yes. So maybe you can comment on this. I can see you have put colors, highlighters, jottings, Bay of Bengal branch. She says, show the monsoon branches, she says here. So guys, this is what I call as active learning. As a word I use in the class, your learning has to be active. Yeah, you can say, you have crossed something here. It says rain-fed, they do not have perennial source of water.
So these are some things, which I can understand, probably some code languages which I can understand, but I just wanted to make it as natural as possible. So I didn't make much beautification when I share this.
Excellent. Okay, so she has some here steps taken to preserve soil moisture. So guys, see the notes. Notes are jotting some colors, reinforce some points. She has used a hierarchy of stars, arrow mark. Okay, some color pens also. So that's one maybe. Okay, then we have another one that you can see. So this is jotting on fisheries, where she has drawn a schematic: coastal, inland, deep water, freshwater, contributes 5% to GDP. So how particular are you about the facts that you note down? Do you do this deliberately or do you ignore the facts?
So I make it a point because that gives more specificity to answers, and that's what we call as value addition. It's simple fact, but when you write an answer, it brings in more value addition. So I think I made it a point that some facts are included, and it conserves words as well.
EEZ, 3,000 crores value, marine fisheries, 2019, depth you have mentioned, Maldives, Indonesia. Now, Dheenah, having said this, tell me, now all of this work, you said three things. Number one, you said was, you were very meticulous in planning your day.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second is, you are very meticulous about reading only as much as you think you can write and use.
Yes, sir.
And third thing that you told was the notes that you made, you trusted those notes. Okay, you had belief that yes, even if they don't have enough, they have much of what you would need.
Yes, sir. Because I put in so much of effort, so that was worth trusted.
Yeah. So Dheenah, can you tell me what does a typical day look like for you? Okay, so if I'm imagining that you are studying, so on an average, not the ideal one, not the best one, not the worst one, a typical day, how many hours you would put in? How would you break your day? If you can tell us, please.
Yes, sir. So I would rather put it in a decreasing order.
Yeah, please.
What I used to do is that firstly, I used to make monthly plans as to what I will learn in a month.
Okay.
Then I would divide it into weekly plans. And then I used to make daily plans. So this is how I used to make.
Wow.
So my predominant idea is that by the end of the week, I finish at least 80% of my weekly plans. Okay, I do not put 100% because humanly factors come into play. So 80% of the plan, or I try to make it 100%, but 80 to 90% of the plan would be good enough. So my idea is basically to achieve those weekly targets. And sir, to achieve those weekly targets on an average, on normal times, I used to probably have to put around 8 to 9 hours per day. Okay. But there can be days in which probably it's a Friday and I have still more of my weekly targets to complete. Then probably that 8 to 9 hours might increase more. If probably if it's a Friday and I have only little to complete, then that can be 4 to 5 hours. But on an average, I think 7 to 8 hours used to be there in regular days. And when it comes to exam, then it goes on because the target is ultimately the exam. So that goes on.
So I'm reiterating this fact. Only recently, I have been studying something around what is effective learning. Mm-hmm. And there's an article that says that the study efforts and the outcomes are distinctly more if a student plans his work and studies compared to somebody who is studying without a plan.
Exactly, sir.
Okay, so I'm surprised that many of us missed out this idea. And Dheenah has done it very beautifully. She starts with a monthly plan. She has an idea about what she wants to cover. Then she breaks it down to a weekly plan, approximate, and then the daily plan. And if she is able to meet those targets early, she also starts managing hours also. On an average, it's 8, 9 to 10 hours she's putting in.
Yes, sir.
But yes, before the examinations, it could be only studying, nothing else.
Yeah, yes, sir. Which basically breaks and study. Yeah.
So for the students who are given the main examinations, how many, I mean, if you are given the main examinations again, God forbid, okay, so for these 2 or 3 months, how much time would you put in?
Sir, I remember this time for mains, I just remember I was locked up in my room. I was there, not really cut off from the outside world, but I was actually sitting and studying. And this was one mistake I did last time, that I was roaming around and I was not studying. But this time I was at home, and especially since it was a pandemic, so we had to be locked in our houses as well. And Sir, because and one more thing was that I did not have much time, because last time I made it in the personality test, and then I had to write the prelims again. So those 3 months were the time for me to revise the entire geography optional, the GS papers, and other things to do. So I had to put more time, and it was indeed, I had to really put in lots of efforts this time.
So how many hours did you put in?
Sir, I'm not really an early person, so I really start my day at around 9:30, 10. And I can sit late, so I used to sit around 3:30, 4 in the morning. I know probably it's not the healthy way, but because I had to, because those 3 months I did things according to my comfort level, but it bore fruit, so it was
I'm
fine.
looking at what, 15, 16 hours before the mains. It can't be throughout the year, of course.
Not yes, sir, but I was mainly studying, because those 3 months I was only studying.
Why I'm asking you repeatedly is, I want the students who are giving the mains this time to understand this. That these 2 months or 3 months or 2.5 months more, if to be more precise, you are not supposed to run around joining courses, running around giving tests, okay, going to classes for updation. You must be in your room, lock yourself up and study 14, 15 hours, revise, practice, whatever you do without wasting time. And my personal feeling is that the online medium is definitely a boon for all of us here.
Exactly.
When there was no online medium, I can understand you would go to the physical classes, sit there. For 2-hour classes, students end up wasting 5 hours.
Exactly.
1.5 hours commuting.
Sir, I can't agree more. That is, in fact, that's true. That is something which I did, a mistake that I did last time. Because
Yes.
if I had to attend a class at around 2 o'clock, I'd be out of my house at 12 getting ready by around 12 o'clock. I reach the venue at 2. Then I come back. The time I start studying is at 8 o'clock at night. So just to attend the 2 hours of class, I'm actually missing around 6 to 7 hours of study time. So,
I will request all of you here, and I'm doing with all sincerity here. Guys who cleared the prelims, this is not an easy task. You spend 2 to 3 years sometimes, okay, trying to clear prelims. And when you do clear prelims, you waste your time because you are running around doing things which is eating into your energy and your efforts. Use this 2.5 months, okay, very, very wisely, effectively, and cautiously. And please use the online medium, use the books that you have read, revise, re-revise. Okay, use your notes that you have written, trust those notes. And if somebody comes and tells me, I have not read 10 books, then I have not done this notes, then guys, you don't deserve to give them in the first place. You should have done all of this, but you still have time. Do whatever you can. Okay, don't give up there. This one, then you must study maybe 17 hours every day if required. Then do it.
So I think these 3 months, I think I would request everyone that I've done this mistake, and I would really not want anyone to do that mistake again, because going till the personality test and coming back is really heartbreaking. And for me personally, I do not want anyone to go through that. So I would really request you. I have learned that the hard way, that you sit and study properly. I know it can be tiring these 3 months, but it's okay. Now I can tell you from my personal experience, quite humbly, that the end of the tunnel is quite nice when you take it in the list. So all those 3 months, this time, even when I couldn't make up, last time I didn't make it in the list, and this mains was very difficult for me because I was locked up and I was studying. But please do it. I think everyone is doing it. You can also do it. That's my humble, advice.
As it screen, Dheenah, just shared right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So guys, this is a typical example of how Dheenah planned her day.
So, and I want to tell you, this is actually my third round of revision. This is actually my third round of revision, how I planned it. Second round of revision. Sorry, wow. Second round, I think. Yeah, it's December. Yeah,
governance. What is SJ?
That's Social Justice and Society.
Social Justice Society, okay. She has the month of December, some dates she had here. Geomorphology, okay. What second round of revision? Maybe it says 2. I do not know what is 2 here. Okay.
That I also don't remember what I wrote that.
This is December. You can see it now, maybe.
Yeah, that was actually mains. During this time mains.
Okay. So answer day.
Oh, that was actually 2 days. Sorry, that is actually 2 days.
Okay,
I'll take
2 days for geomorphology.
Yeah.
Answer day, she says 4 answer days.
That's a fourth answer day. Fourth answer day.
Fourth answer, okay. Political geography, 1.5 days. Guys, this is an example of how meticulous her planning has been. Okay, she has then she says, then she will come and take a full test. Okay, and then essay. Oh, she also has a day earmarked for the essays. I'm very impressed by seeing this, Dheenah.
Thanks.
Something students don't realize, that the amount of investment you have to make for planning, for scheduling your day is very impressive. I'll show the guys
Yes,
another page also. Like, I'm glad I asked you for these pages. Okay.
And sir, I wanted to share it as rough as possible so that it looks very
Yeah. It looks
common man type.
fairly.
Like how their book would be. I did not have any shyness to share my rough pages. It's okay.
No. I really appreciate you have done this. I'm not able to. Okay.
This is a note, sir. Yeah.
Maybe one of these pages here. Can you see my page?
This was for the prelims. This was for the prelims.
For the prelims.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you look at this, guys, polity, she says what, 3, 4, 5 days? What is this?
That was September 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Wow, September 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Okay, 3 days. Day 1, what she will cover. Day 2, what she will cover. She's highlighted something. Maybe it's more important for her. Study the topic.
And that was the current affairs. That I'll do also the June and July current affairs portion as well. In that 3 days.
Current affairs she must cover. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so if I again stop this, another page, modern history. 2.5
This is also for the
days.
prelims. This is also for the prelims.
Okay, total I think you have given what, 14 days for all of this?
This was the third round of my prelims revision.
Third round. And may I ask you, what are these numbers, Nijay? 29, 30, 31?
So that was something rough. I don't know. I don't know.
And as she progresses, she's also ticking off what she has covered.
Yes, sir.
So excellent. So I hope all of you seeing this interview discussion at least see what goes on behind the scenes, what goes on as a part of the meticulous planning. They're very, very impressive, Dheenah. I mean, certain things even I must learn in terms of how you have planned and how you have gone about.
So I actually want to add something over here, something
Please
which
do,
I think. So I think I've been listening to candidates who have cleared the exam, and one word which they commonly say is that we clear the exam by smart work. And but I have wondered that they have never given the definition of what really smart work is. And I was like, why are they not really telling that word? And then I came to understand that smart work is not something which can really be defined because it does not have a specific definition. It is person specific. It varies from person to person. What I feel as smart work is, the first step towards smart work is a person does a self-introspection. Self-introspection of what of his or her own strengths and weaknesses are. So if I can share my personal example, for me, in the 3 stages of exam, as a result of my self-introspection, I understood that for me, the prelim stage is very difficult. The first stage is very difficult. It doesn't come naturally to me. So I had to put in so much of effort. And if you want, I can explain that as well, if it helps the other next aspirants as well, so that it will help them as well. Prelims was something which I found very difficult. This was a result of my self-introspection. And then I found that as far as the mains examinations is concerned, I was okay with the answer writing and speed of writing. But putting the content into the paper was a difficult side. So this I had to work on. And then the personality test. So what I intend to say is that students have to really put time and efforts to self-introspect their strengths and weaknesses. And I think so it's quite a human nature that we are quite judgmental about others, but it's quite difficult for us to, look into ourselves. So it's the first thing that we have to do. And secondly, sir, I think and next is they have to devise their strategy in such a way, any plan. I would humbly request my fellow aspirants that they do not blindly follow what I did. This plan is based on my self-introspection, my strengths and weaknesses, where I lack. So you should actually devise a personalized strategy that is based on your own strengths and weaknesses. Excellent. And plan accordingly. And when you work according to such personalized strategy, I think that is smart work. And that is what toppers did. If by God's grace, if they're coming into the list, I think they topped it because they devised a plan as per their own strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Had they done something else, probably they would have not made it. This is something I learned the hard way. I
think this is one of the best conversations I've had till now, Dheenah, because smart work is a word that is used, abused, misused, overused senselessly. Okay, the moment I say, are you studying? They would say, yes, I'm studying smart, but nobody exactly knows what smart work is. So it's a beautiful way you have described it. So guys, smart work essentially is you have to evaluate your strengths, your weaknesses, introspects on what are your gaps, what are your areas where you are not confident about, and accordingly design your study approach that suits your outcomes best.
So
Okay.
I think one misconception which students have, that smart work is actually reading compilations, not reading the standard books, reading the notes. They equate this to smart work. This is not really smart work. That is not really smart work.
That's stupid work, actually. If you are mechanically doing these things, that's actually stupid. Yes.
Yeah. Students have this misconception, and I must admit that even I had this misconception. This is something I learned the hard way, and I do not want anyone else to repeat that. That's why I'm just telling this. What really is smart work? This is smart work, and that's why no one has really defined what smart work is, because it changes from person to person.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. You wanted to say something on prelims preparation, because
yes, sir.
Because you were, and even before the interview, this is something you said. The prelims does not come naturally to you.
Yes, sir.
What is it you want to share? What is it you can add for students to probably learn from?
So it's basically what is that in all the 3 stages of exam, prelims is my most scariest stage. And only if you clear prelims, we are going to write mains and eventually the interview. And sir, I understood that prelims is not, as a result of my self-introspection, I understood that prelims is not my easy cup of tea. So what I did was, in 2018, I gave my prelims and I could not qualify because I did some stupid work and not really smart work or hard work. So what I did was, I remember in 2019, the first prelims I cleared, it was in the month of June. So, sir, usually exclusively students start for those prelims exclusive preparation around the month of March. But, sir, I understood that since prelims is not my forte, I had to put in more effort. So, I actually started a month before. I started from the month of February, a month before usually the candidates would do. And it was a time when actually students were doing their optional or some other subjects. But then I found that no, I should be doing this since my prelims is not my easy way. So I started early. I revised my books. I made it a point that I revise my books, be it by prelims, be it by mains, and be it by personality test. I revise my notes at least twice. That's what I did. And for prelims and mains, I revise it thrice. And said it is possible with proper planning. It's possible. Some people might having this in mind that she's just boasting. No, it's really possible. I have made it. If you want, I can show you how I've made it possible. So, sir, what I did for prelims is, I used to take up the paper after revising. I used to the practice paper which was there, the comprehensive paper, and I used to solve it. 2 hours with the time limit, I used to solve it, and then I used to segregate the prelims questions into 4 categories. The first category is a question where we are 100% sure. Those direct hit questions. The second category of questions is where we can eliminate 2 options. The third category of question is one where we can eliminate 1 option. And fourth category is where we have no idea. So I used to divide the questions into 4 categories. The first category, I used to analyze the thought process which went into the question. That is what students don't do. They get the paper, they get the marks, and they just throw the paper. That should not be. So what I used to do in the first category of paper, what I used to do is, I used to analyze why I made that question wrong. And if I'm making the first category of question wrong, that is as if I am myself pushing me out of the race, because these are questions which UPSC gives us to get through. Easy 70 marks, 35 questions, 70 marks. It's, so these are questions we make mistake because we are not reading the question properly, the correct, incorrect, or not properly marking in the OMR sheet, or possibly we do not have that conceptual clarity which we should be actually having. So this is the first reason why result of my thought process, why analyzing my thought process. So second stage, those 50-50 option question, what I used to do is, I used to analyze the thought process that went into both the questions I made right and also the questions I made wrong. I used to even analyze, because probably that was, that inky pinky ponky that I made that question right that day. If that question is twisted and asked some other day, I would have probably made it wrong.
Yeah.
So I analyzed the thought process. So in this way, I used to analyze all the 4 categories. The fourth category is definitely those questions, which is like those difficult questions, which it is smart to leave those questions. So what I would like to say is, even though solving the question paper was a 2-hour affair, but the post-test analysis used to take around 4 to 5 hours, and I diligently did it. I had those papers with different colors of pen for each category of questions. I used to write how many right, how many wrong. And sir, in this way, what happened is that skill in me, that that prelims being my weak area, I would not say it became my strong area, but I could say that I could clear 2 prelims which were considered difficult, the 2019 and the 2020 prelims. And so since in the 2020 prelims, I did not have much time. As you know, August was the month in which the final result came. I only 2 months for heartbreak and revision. So it was indeed very heartbreaking, but I had to come back. And so since I had already developed the skill of this intelligent guessing and prelim skill, the only 2 months I could do for revising my notes and probably doing 1 or 2 papers to get into that MCQ mode.
Okay.
So this is what I did for my prelims. So this is actually smart work. I know it had so much of hard work, but this is actually smart work because this is a result of my self introspection. I'm sorry for that long monologue.
No, wonderful. In fact, I feel so nice because these are some things that I tell students, but coming from you, it makes a whole lot of difference. Students run around practice test, practice test, practice test, without knowing what to do with the scores that they get, without knowing how to prepare for the test. Most of them join test series with the sole aim of looking at the answers or listening to the discussions.
Exactly.
Guys,
exactly.
that is not how you have to prepare. What she says is smart work. 2 hours of tests plus 4 hours of paper analysis is equally important.
Yes, sir.
You must know which answers you have got right and why, and which answers you got wrong and why. In fact, in one of the previous videos, we have shared that analysis table also. Okay, so you should identify what your blind spots are, what your silly mistakes are, where are you overconfident, which sections you don't have confidence, but you actually are performing well. You need to analyze all of that. So I think Dheenah is one of those many who has not been confident on the prelims. And I don't blame anybody why prelims are always dicey.
Yes, exactly.
It takes one silly mistake to throw you out and you're back to square one. Exactly. One wrong moment, one small minute of distraction, you have a wrong and you're out. So prelims you should be scared about. And she very rightly identified that she must study maybe 3 months and how she plans it. So very nice input, Dheenah. I really appreciate you sharing this part. Okay.
So because I did that mistake, the commonly made mistake by aspirants, I did that mistake in my 2018 attempt. I was someone who I was actually getting quite good scores in my tests. I was getting around 100, 105, 110, but ultimately I couldn't clear the prelims. That was because probably that was not actually the sustainable way of scoring. Yeah.
So your scores you get in the test are not always indicative of your ability unless you analyzed it.
Exactly, sir.
Maybe some of you are scoring very high in certain controlled conditions, but when you're thrown into the actual test conditions, you are losing it.
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
So you have done that. Excellent, excellent, Dheenah. Dheenah, one question before we wind up. What is your experience about the personality test and how did you prepare for that? Because your marks are very nice, 195. And I think this was Madam Sujata Mehta's board.
Sujata Mehta, yes.
Who otherwise is not known to give as much marks. And I think you also felt that you were pulled into a lot of discussions beyond your comfort zone. And you score 195. So can you tell us, how did you manage the preparation for personality test, please?
Personally, I think, so this is where I would like to emphasize the fact that UPSC civil services preparation is indeed an integrated preparation. We do not prepare separately for prelims, for mains, and for the personality test. So if I can put that as from my mistakes, in my previous personality test, I made to the personality test last year as well. One of the major mistakes that I did was that I did not prepare for my mains properly. So probably there was a lack of conceptual clarity in me. And this eventually translated into lack of confidence, because when we go to the UPSC interview board, we're going for a very informed and a purposeful conversation with an eminent set of bureaucrats and academicians. So last time, this was one problem because I believe that our personality is tested through our knowledge. And when we cannot articulate our opinions properly, that doesn't look good. So this is one mistake which I did. So this time, since I had done my course correction, as I said, I had revised my mains properly. This, in fact, gave me a good boost to my it gave me a confidence booster. And sir, I must also confess that the third stage, that is a personality test stage, is something which I always look up to. Probably I like speaking. So that is one stage which I really enjoy. Even last time and this time when I took my flight from Thiruvananthapuram to Delhi, I was quite excited when I saw that Dholpur House. So it always looked fascinating to me.
Wow.
So I enjoyed my conversation, irrespective of the fact that what scores I got. I enjoyed my conversations, both my chairpersons last year and this year. And so one more thing I want to add, as far as preparation is concerned, I did that value addition from my side, and then there was grooming that was offered. So one, definitely I was part of the interview guidance program at Edukemy. So both of them helped me groom my ideas, like how to present it properly. And then I had my interview on September 3rd. I came to Delhi. I landed on September 1st. It was raining very heavily in Delhi that day, September 3rd. I had the afternoon session, and it was with Sujata Mehta ma'am's board. And trust me, I was getting positive, very positive vibes from ma'am. It was indeed a pleasure talking to her. And in fact, the questions were not very direct factual questions or DAF-based questions. They were very long opinion-based questions. But I must say, I enjoyed the conversation. And one thing that, apart from my content and the confidence which was there, I try to be myself and try to be my true self. I try to, put my opinion as obediently and as politely, with conviction as possible. Because all five of them, including the board member, had asked me opinion-based questions. There were no factual what questions. It was a long question and then your opinion. And then there were counter questions based on my opinion. Okay. But I think I was like, since I was not getting those conventional questions, I was quite worried. Will I get the good score? But I enjoyed the conversation, and I think it reflected in the marks as well.
So if I ask you one thing different that you did this time, last time how much marks did you score in interview last time?
So I got 160.
160, and this is a huge leap.
Yes, sir, that was my blunder. I made that mistake. So I think PK Joshi sir was generous by giving 160. I must say that.
Okay. It's a nice confession. She feels 160 was more than she should have got in the previous attempt.
Probably I communicated quite well, so he gave me 160. He was happy with my
So what is it that you did differently this time, Dheenah? The jump of 35 mark is a huge jump.
So firstly, I think this is where I think I prepared my mains properly. And sir, I sat and read my mains notes again. I read my, I don't know whether I sound silly, but I read my geography optional notes also. I sat and read my environment and Indian geography and things like that. And I also, so one mistake I did last time was that I had a pretty early interview. Actually, I had my interview on the third day. So I was not pretty sure about what was actually expected of the personality test. So that was my mistake. What actually the board is looking in us. I thought we can just go in our raw self, just present the way we are, and that would be fine. Not really. We need a good grooming, and that's where our mentors will help us. And so, sir, my efforts to revise my notes and my efforts to do my mains properly, firstly, and then to revise that, plus a proper grooming by my mentors, I think altogether, plus being ourselves and putting our opinion with conviction and in a polite and humble way, but with conviction.
It's not something that happens in 5 days, 1 month,
exactly,
10, 15 days. It's a continuous one. Is that what
you want to tell us? Exactly, sir. Exactly.
You have to be mentally groomed into interview preparation as early as possible.
Exactly, because I think it starts with the mains preparation.
Because most of them, I think, who get into interview preparation is the last 1 or 2 weeks where they keep running around doing mock sessions.
So not really. I think mocks are just basic, because I will admit that mocks are mocks. The personality test inside Dholpur House is an entire different experience, and that is nothing can recreate that. Probably that can give us a sense of that board, 5 members sitting in front of us, but Dholpur House is Dholpur House.
No, very nice conversation with you, Dheenah. Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
And I must say that you have definitely inspired quite a few of our students and viewers.
Thank you, sir. That will be my pleasure.
We will keep running your videos as frequently as we can. Okay, and we'll trouble you ahead also. We'll call you up.
Definitely, it's my pleasure to help, because as I frequently say, I've made mistakes, and I've seen the heartbreak, the extreme heartbreak in a UPSC preparation journey. And I would really not want anyone to go through that again. So anything from my side to help. And I know our conversation had been quite unconventional, not usual student-teacher
I'm
interaction,
happy.
but
I mean, this only tells me that every topper has or her own strategy. Every
exactly.
topper has her or her own strengths. You cannot
Exactly.
say, you cannot take somebody's strategy and make it your own until you have introspection.
Exactly.
Is a very important word she kept using. That she was
Self-introspection.
introspecting, she was planning, she was doing things consciously, and not because somebody told her.
Exactly.
It
So with
started
that,
why
yeah,
she took up geography. It started with how she managed her prelims. You can see that the way she has planned her mains, the books that she has read. Yes, there are some standard books, but how she has read is entirely based on how she evaluates what she's good at and what she's not good at.
so one
Okay.
more thing I just want to add, I forgot to tell that. So, since my last attempt where I could not make it into the list, and this attempt where I made this All India rank 63, let me honestly confess that my notes were the same. I did not change the notes because I did not have time to make any value addition. But the only thing I did, the first and foremost thing, it was indeed very heartbreaking. The first 3 or 4 days were very heartbreaking. But then my family, that was one thing that kept me motivating. My family, my mother, my father, my brother, they were there. They were like, it's okay, you can do it again. They just patted my back and just asked me to move forward. And then after that, I did this introspection. Definitely, I should not be blaming some things which is not in my control, destiny or fate or whatever. I introspected what really went wrong, and then I understood that it was actually mains which is troubling me. And in mains, particularly putting that content in paper was troubling me. So I think that self introspection with my trusted notes landed me from someone outside the list to someone who has made it to the 63rd rank.
Excellent, excellent. And if I may ask again, Dheenah, the last question. I won't bother you after this.
No, sir, it's a pleasure.
How did you keep yourself motivated? So 3 attempts means 4 years approximately, and mentally maybe another year you must have. And before the results were out, I'm sure you must have been as jittery, as nervous. How did you keep yourself motivated? And it's end of the day, it's not easy for being a girl. It's not easy.
Hey,
Okay, when you are studying after graduation, your
exactly.
friends have got jobs. Okay,
Exactly.
and I'm told that your father doesn't stay in the country. He's
Yes, sir.
so how do you manage all of these and motivate yourself, Dheenah?
So I would like to actually share a small anecdote if it doesn't bore you.
Please do. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So when I started the preparation initially in 2017, actually I had attended a orientation session wherein there was one sir and there were around 100 and 150, 100 or 150 students ever sitting in front. And the sir told that I'm sure that all 150 of you sitting here probably will clear this exam. But he told that I can tell you with surety that all of you are going to gain, because all of you are going to gain knowledge, you're going to learn new perspectives. And sir, I found that it was actually true. The knowledge I gained, the experiences I got to know, the people I met actually created so much of impact in the person in me. It changed the way I speak, it changed the way I analyze, it changed the way I introspect. So I understood that ultimately actually I'm gaining. Probably the icing in the cake is a rank in the is a position in the list, but then I was gaining. So I first kept myself motivating, saying that I should not be demotivated when I'm actually gaining. So that's the first thing. And second thing, sir, I think I always say this has been effort of a beautiful teamwork. Had not my father, mother, and my brother also, because he also has been a constant support. My younger brother, I have a younger brother, so I think a beautiful teamwork that helped me. I think blessings and prayers of and your efforts, like teachers like you. I must say, sir, you were like a godsend angel to me. You came to my preparation phase when actually I was in a
Thank you.
no, sir. I think I must say that because I frequently say that to everyone here that you were a godsend angel to me, because you came when I was actually struggling with a very troubled phase of my preparation. I was struggling with my optional. I didn't know what to do. That was the time you came in with that MSP program, the 15 days MSP program. I think that was our first association. And then through the Edukemy, I'm actually the first, the June enrichment batch. I remember you saying that we are actually amongst the first batch of Edukemy. So happy about that as well.
I'm very proud of you, very, very proud of you, and obliged that you chose us. Okay,
So that
starting.
was a national option. I was just waiting for you to start the next course, and when you came in, I just jumped in. So that was a national option. I was waiting for you to start the class, and I was happy that Edukemy is launching. So I just dumped in. That's why I was the first student, first batch. So I think prayers and blessings of teachers and definitely teachers like you.
What she is not telling, but what all you should hear and probably observe is, okay, Dheenah comes by as an eternal optimist. She comes by as somebody who has a very positive view of life and efforts. When she says that she was inspired by that anecdote, that idea that irrespective of whether she clears or not, she will learn. She'll gain as a person. She'll gain as an individual. Okay, the insights she developed, the analysis ability that she had acquired because she was studying in a method. That positive approach to examination probably helped her manage all those negative days. There is no magic to being motivated. Okay, we can say whatever we want to say, but the fact is motivation has to come from within. It's a part of your personality. It's part of who you are, and you can actually groom some of these attributes.
Exactly.
Okay. So,
and sir, one more thing, I think I am a bit spiritually inclined. So I had trust in my efforts. I was quite sincere in what I did. So I was of the belief that if I do my efforts sincerely, God would ultimately give something good for me. Good if in any way what he feels is right. If it is a name on the list that way or some other way. And also one more thing, I think I have to sell this to the aspirants as well. Actually, I didn't stick anything motivational in my on my wall, nothing like that.
okay.
But one thing I just stuck it's natural on a sticky note in front of my table, because I felt that whatever I'm going through is actually aspirants who are studying, they also go through the same thing. Ability of not able to complete on time, or frustrations, whatever happening, it's natural, and we should not be quite worried about something which is quite natural. So I wrote that. So I think these 3-4 things kept me motivated. And sir, I must confess that it was a roller coaster ride, but I thoroughly enjoyed the process. It was quite enriching. And as I said, I had actually opted for a plan B. I'm a faculty at an institute here, so I'm quite happy that even though if I cannot make it, I can at least help others to get through. So that also would have made me happy, and I know you know it better.
Excellent. So your wall has it's natural, is it?
Yes, it's
wow,
natural.
I think I need to put that on my wall also. It's natural. So I don't want to study, it's natural. Okay, yes, I feel frustrated, it's natural. I'm ambitious, it's natural. Okay, excellent. So I might fail, it's natural. I succeed. Yeah. I like that idea. This is very inspiring. Excellent. And you must all see this, the gratitude that she comes with, the sense of in a positive thinking that she comes with, despite the odds she has been through. So I think that's something that is worthy of being attempted. Brilliant. So Dheenah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope it helped my fellow aspirants.
Coming anything here, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
We will repeatedly trouble you. Once the class
it's not trouble. It's not really trouble. It's always a pleasure.
Now that you have told me you are a teacher, I'm going to drag you into some topics of geography and GS.
Definitely, sir.
I will hunt you down if you do not come in. Thank you so much, Dheenah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
My gratitude.
Thank you so much, sir.
Family, all of
Thank you so much, sir. I need your prayers and blessings now more than ever, because it's a new phase in my,
absolutely,
a new phase in civil services, and I hope I truly turn out to be a servant of the civil kind.
You will, I'm sure. I'm sure. We'll hear lots about you. My wishes.
Be a
great officer, an exemplary officer. Okay, we will remember you for all the great work and inspiration that you spread around.
So anything you need, any thing you need, please do tell me. I'll be happy to share anything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bless you.